Hi, I'm André from RAC. I've been pretty much involved with music my entire life. I don't think there was ever really a moment where I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a musician now. That's just what I always was gonna be. Even if I didn't do it professionally, I think I would always have some involvement in music. And I'm not really sure why I was drawn to it. I just was. And that fast forward many years, and learning how to play an instrument. I played in metal bands, played in jazz bands, wedding, like all kinds of stuff. And I eventually went to college, and I think it was actually during my sophomore year where I sort of had a little bit of a panicked moment where a lot of people go through this where they kind of like don't know what they're going to do with their lives, and like what am I doing? Like, what's going on? And that's sort of where I had this idea of creating this thing, RAC, and where you do remixes, but they're not like typical remixes, and that's basically how it started. And the first client really was the Shins, so I got super lucky, and it's been a whirlwind ever since. Yeah, so very early on with RAC, I knew that I wanted to do something a little bit different, because I wasn't really happy with the current remix scene, or whatever that means. I don't know. Mainly because I wasn't too into dance music, so I wanted to do remixes that were appropriate for indie rock bands, or something that was hopefully a little bit tasteful to their kind of music. So that's I didn't really put that much thought into it. It was just wanting to do something a little bit different and carve out like a little niche for myself, and hopefully I had no idea that it was going to work. It was just this trial thing that happened to work. So yeah. So there's a couple ways that remixing works, and generally now it's through relationships with labels, and they reach out whenever they have a single or something. It's all tied into almost like a marketing plan, like for the artist. If they have a single, they need a remix, or sometimes, I mean, especially in the beginning, I used to reach out to a lot of different artists, and just reach out to their manager, or to their people, or whatever, and just basically ask for it. And I think that's actually how I got the Shins one. It was because I don't think anybody had ever asked them for a remix, because it's just not, at the time, like 2007, that's not, nobody did that. So I just got lucky. The collaboration, especially with remixes, tends to be pretty one-sided, as in, like, I'm working with songs that are already finished. So sometimes artists will like kind of give you a direction or an idea of something that they want to do, but most of the time they just let me kind of do whatever I want, and that's ideal for me. I just have a blast with it and do whatever I want. Whenever I approach a remix, it tends to, I kind of I just try to listen to like what makes that song good. Like I try to like distill the song into like its essence, like whether it's a vocal or a hook or something, and I take everything else out. And that's where like I actually in the recording program, I'll like solo out these two different things and just listen to those over and over again, and drive my wife insane, and just try to forget about all the context of the original song, and just and then from there, that's when I start adding my own instruments and creating this different bed of music underneath it. So it's a little more technical than that, but that's the basic idea. Yeah, I am kind of a gear nerd. I collect all kinds of vintage synths. I don't have space for anything else right now. No, but I'm really into like modular synths and a lot of older stuff, and I play guitar, bass. I have all kinds of different amps and like recording programs, and I tend to gravitate towards synthesizers or instruments that are tactile and you can play them. So I know, especially these days, a lot of people use software, and that's great and awesome, but I kind of miss that, I don't know, tactile feel. I feel more connected to what I'm doing. Yeah, the live performance came from, I was writing this album, and the material that was coming out was not really DJ friendly, and I had sort of been DJing for a long time. I'd been DJing for like 5 years, so I was sort of shooting myself in the foot by writing all this material that did not work in that sense. So it was almost a practical thing. It was like, well, we have to do this. We have to do a band, So that's sort of where the idea started, and the more and more we got into it, the more kind of I'd almost forgotten how fun it is to play in a band. So it was really nice to kind of put on a guitar and just rock out. my wife's in the band, so that's very convenient for touring. And Carl is actually a very good friend of mine. We even used to live together, and we DJ together as well. So it's just kind of like this whole crew of people that we've just been doing this for a long time. And we got the drummer from we sort of stole him a little bit temporarily from this band called Yacht. So he was just a friend from Portland, and yeah, we've just been touring ever since. When I started doing the live thing, I think I was a little bit burnt out with the DJ side of things, but now that I've been doing both, I've really kind of grown to appreciate both things, because they're very different. It's a very different kind of environment. Like, for example, yesterday we DJ'd at a Subterranean here in Chicago, and it's just a whole kind of different vibe. I don't know. It's just very different. It's hard to explain, but and then you play the Lollapalooza in front of 10, 15,000 people, and it's a whole nother level of, I don't know. It's fun. They're both fun. They're great. So the next thing we're working on is just continue to tour, really. And I'm always writing new music, and so I always have a project in the back of my head. I'm always working. I never stop because I love what I do. So it doesn't feel like working. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're just continuing to do what we do. What's up? I'm André from RAC, and you're watching GRAMMY Pro.